In this series of videos, I'll be running down my list of top 10 things to do in Saigon. And here at number 10 are a pair of places, a sort of afternoon historical outing. Both places are within a few minutes walk of one another, and each has an entry fee of only a few dollars. For better or worse, they offer us a slightly different version of the history of war and colonization in Vietnam than the one we learn in US high school. Now, many lists give these ideas a little more importance. I have them here at number 10 because they should definitely be on your list of things to do in Saigon, but I realized that my mostly young male audience are probably more interested in the exciting ideas like food and nightlife. Nevertheless, I say if you're gonna visit a place, you've gotta see the museums. Plus, later on in the video, I'll show you a few of the nearby shops and restaurants if you wanna make a day out of it. Before we head over to location number 1, do me a favor, hit the subscribe and the like buttons and help the channel out. Now, this place was originally named the Museum of Chinese and American War Crimes, later renamed the Exhibition House for Crimes of War and Aggression. And finally, on the heels of better diplomatic relations with the United States, was renamed War Remnants Museum in 1995. It offers a different perspective on the Vietnam War than the story we're told in US history class. For instance, in the United States, we call it the Vietnam War, but here in Vietnam, they call it the American War. Now, I know a lot of people, particularly US war veterans, who think the story that's being told inside skews way too hard towards the communist perspective, bordering on outright lies. I know a guy, for instance, a US war vet, who insists on pissing on this museum every time he visits Saigon.
We're gonna take this nice and slow and nobody's gonna get hurt.
Now, that may be a little extreme. And whatever your opinion, if you were to look at the photo exhibit inside of napalm devastation, you'd definitely be given a more sober perspective on the war than the one we're told in the States.
Guns, tanks, fighter jets. The War Remnants Museum has all the cool military toys I know you'd love to see up close if you visit this city. There's the Chinook heavy lift helicopter, the ubiquitous Huey, a U-17 recon plane, an A-1 Skyraider, the F-5A jet fighter, and the long-range howitzer, capable of creating 20-meter deep craters, perfect for your next backyard fireworks show, if you live in Texas. There's a display of the tiger cages and torture devices used at Con Dao Prison during the Vietnam War to detain and decapitate prisoners. Yes, they even have a guillotine. And this guy was unlucky enough to be the last one it was used on. The place also has several exhibits of photos you've never seen in your high school history books. The images about the effect of Agent Orange are particularly hard to look at, too graphic for me to show on YouTube, but probably the best reason you should visit the War Remnants Museum.
The walk from War Remnants Museum to our next location is about a 5-minute stroll. While I've got you here, drop a comment below about what else you think should be on my list of top 10 things to do in Saigon. Independence Palace, or Reunification Convention Hall, was built in 1962 as the home and workplace for the President of the Republic of Vietnam. It was also the location of the fall of Saigon, when on April 30th, 1975, a North Vietnamese army tank crashed through its gates. The name of the place isn't all that popular with many older Saigonese, who don't feel that the invasion of communism lent them any independence at all. The building stands as both a reminder and historical record of the war-torn history of Vietnam. Plus, it's a great location for weddings. Quite a bit of pomp and circumstance. This is where the President of the Republic of Vietnam, the South, delivered his resignation speech in 1975 when the Americans pulled out.
It seems now more certain than ever that the bloody experience of Vietnam is to end in a stalemate.
Some of the information plaques here still contain tone of disdain for the United States, let's say. They're always taking a slight stab at our country, as is to be expected. I think this place is used for selfies more than anything. I've seen about 50 of these girls in the ao-dai dresses taking photos here. They got their selfie sticks, they got their tripods, they've got their lighting kits and their props. Their hair did, the nails did. Beautiful. A room that looks like Vladimir Putin may have decorated. If you're going for that austere communist vibe in your next home, you might come by Independence Palace and pick up a few design cues. This is the war room, where the maps hanging on the wall document the war situation in the South back in 1975, and a bank of telephones in case one needed to call for emergency help, say from the US president or maybe Domino's Pizza.
Here's the deal. You give me those 3 pizzas, only I'll give you just $5 a piece.
This room is the First Lady's reception room, and it looks like quite a party. Certainly this was the president's man cave, boys club. He's got a keg-shaped bar, Vegas-style conversation pit, a gaming table, billiards table. This is where he and the homeboys must have really tied one on. And what bachelor pad is complete without a set of elephant tusks? The guy's even got his own movie theater. Starting to like this president too. Tickets here, FYI, were 65,000 VND, just under $3. Kind of an austere place, not as exciting as the War Remnants Museum for sure, but it is worth a stop in if you're doing the Remnants Museum. It's right down the street. Up next, however, something much more exciting that provides much more immediate gratification. The next stop on my afternoon tour is the Ben Nay Street Food Market. Now, it's certainly not the place I would send you in Saigon for street food. That stuff is coming later down my list, and I am going to send you to some really awesome, really authentic, really OG street food, seafood places here in Saigon. But it is nice to know that if you did spend the day at the War Remnants Museum and Independence Palace, there are plenty of choices directly across the street where you can take a load off your feet and grab a little snack. They've got sushi, they've got bun cha, they've got grilled chicken. I even saw some grilled scallops with peanuts and green onion. La pao, xin chao. They got pho, but if you only had a short time here in Vietnam, not a bad place to sort of sample everything at once. Right now, we're gonna pop over to the last location. If you wanna make a full day of this tour, a 5-minute walk away from Independence Palace is the Vietcong Center, one of Vietnam's biggest shopping malls. They've got a plethora of dining choices, plus major international and domestic fashion brands. So, if you filled your minds at the museums and you filled your bellies at the street food market, here you can empty your wallets. Plus, they've got a great big movie theater on the top floor with those giant leather recliners and blankets. So if you're tired from your day of exploring the city, not a bad place to take a nap. That's gonna do it for number 10 on my top 10 list of things to do in Saigon. We spent the afternoon digging into Vietnamese history at the War Remnants Museum and Independence Palace. Then we filled our bellies at the street food market and emptied our wallets at the Vietcong Center. Do me a favor and drop a comment below about what your favorite thing to do in Saigon is and what else you think should be on my list. And I'll see you in the next video. Another great little restaurant just across the street from Independence Palace if you don't want to do the street food market. Propaganda Vietnamese Bistro, a little pricier, but if you are the bourgeoisie sort, Propaganda Vietnamese Bistro just might be your jam. This place is way more popular for women taking photos of themselves in ao-dai dresses than is for the tourism inside the building. Holy cow.